This message is issued by the North American Aerospace Defense Command Emergency Coordination Center in conjunction with the Federal Emergency Management Agency Lunar Crisis Response Division. Please listen closely and follow the instructions provided. This is not a drill. I'm Dr. Brock Colby, Senior Emergency Broadcast Coordinator here at Cheyenne Mountain. If you're hearing this transmission, you're receiving Emergency Broadcast Protocol LCP-001, Lunar Crisis Prevention. We're implementing precautionary measures following unusual astronomical readings across multiple observation sites. I need to stress that this is purely precautionary, but your cooperation is essential for public safety. Starting at approximately 9:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday evening, our lunar observation posts began detecting anomalous readings from Earth's natural satellite. Initially, these readings appeared to be instrumentation errors, variations in luminosity, irregular gravitational measurements, and what our technicians described as impossible orbital fluctuations. By Wednesday morning, however, similar reports were coming in from observatories across 7 time zones, from the Keck Observatory in Hawaii to the European Southern Observatory in Chile. The pattern became clear around 2:30 a.m. Mountain Time yesterday. Our deep space monitoring stations detected what can only be described as increased electromagnetic activity emanating from the lunar surface. This activity doesn't match any known geological processes. More concerning, this electromagnetic signature appears to be expanding, creating a field that extends well beyond the moon's natural gravitational influence. Let me share what we've documented so far. A family in Tucson, Arizona contacted local authorities Tuesday night after their 12-year-old daughter woke them, claiming she could hear the moon singing. The parents initially dismissed this as a nightmare, but when they looked outside their bedroom window, they noticed their daughter standing in the backyard, perfectly still, looking directly up at the moon. When her father called to her, she didn't respond for nearly 3 minutes. When she finally turned around, she was smiling in a way her mother described as not quite right. Too wide, lasting too long, the girl had no memory of going outside. In another incident, a night security guard at a warehouse facility in Portland, Oregon reported seeing what he initially thought was a reflection or optical illusion. During his routine patrol around 1:15 a.m. Wednesday, he glanced up and observed what appeared to be a second, much dimmer moon positioned roughly 30 degrees east of the primary lunar body. He documented this observation and attempted to photograph it, but his camera equipment malfunctioned. Every image came out completely black, despite the clear night sky. When he looked again 10 minutes later, only the normal moon was visible. More reports followed throughout Wednesday. A couple camping near Lake Tahoe called park rangers after noticing their normally calm golden retriever became increasingly agitated as the moon rose. The dog began whining, pacing in circles, and eventually began howling. Not the normal canine howl, but something the woman described as almost like it was trying to harmonize with something we couldn't hear. Around midnight, both campers reported experiencing a sensation of being watched, despite being alone in a remote area. They packed their equipment and left immediately. Later that same night, emergency dispatchers in Denver received over 40 calls between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. from residents reporting unusual lunar activity. Many described the moon as appearing brighter than normal, or moving in ways that don't make sense. 3 separate callers claimed to have seen multiple moons, though when pressed for details, each gave conflicting accounts of number and positioning. What remained consistent was a growing sense of unease that prevented these individuals from looking away from the sky. The most disturbing report came from a suburb of Kansas City around 4 a.m. yesterday morning. A mother of 2 young children contacted police after finding both her sons, ages 6 and 9, standing motionless in their front yard. They were positioned approximately 6 feet apart, both looking directly up at the moon with identical expressions. Not fear, not wonder, but something the responding officer described as peaceful in a way that felt wrong. When asked what they were doing outside, the older child simply said, "The moon told us to come say hello." Both children had no memory of leaving their beds or unlocking the front door. We've documented these behavioral patterns occurring in 3 distinct stages. Stage 1 involves subtle sleep disturbances, particularly in children and adolescents. Individuals report unusually vivid dreams involving lunar imagery, often accompanied by compulsion to look outside during nighttime hours. Family pets frequently become restless during this stage, showing signs of anxiety that peak during periods of direct moonlight exposure. Stage 2 presents as a period of heightened lunar awareness. Affected individuals report an increased ability to sense the moon's position even when it's not visible, describing it as knowing exactly where it is without looking. During this stage, people often experience what they describe as lunar calling, a subtle but persistent urge to step outside and observe the night sky. Sleep patterns become irregular, with many reporting feeling most alert during peak lunar hours. Stage 3, which we're observing with increasing frequency, involves direct interaction behaviors. This includes prolonged periods of motionless sky observation, often lasting 30 minutes or more. Individuals in this stage frequently display unusual facial expressions while moon gazing. Consistent reports describe smiling that appears forced or unnatural. Most concerning, people in stage 3 often report feeling as though something is looking back, and describe a sense of communication or connection with the lunar surface. For your immediate safety, please follow these essential guidelines. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct moonlight, particularly between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. If you must be outside during these hours, limit sky observation to brief glances and avoid sustained upward gazing. Pay particular attention to children and teens who appear more susceptible to initial lunar influence. If family members report unusual dreams involving the moon or express sudden interest in nighttime sky observation, gently redirect their attention and ensure they remain indoors after sunset. Do not attempt to photograph or record the moon using electronic devices. Multiple reports indicate camera and recording equipment malfunction when directed toward the lunar surface, and some individuals have reported feeling increased lunar awareness after failed photography attempts. If you notice multiple moon-like objects in the sky, do not attempt to count or focus on them individually. Instead, immediately move to an interior room with no windows and contact local emergency services. Trust your instincts regarding family members' behavior. If someone in your household begins exhibiting signs of Stage 2 or Stage 3 lunar interaction, maintain calm but firm boundaries about outdoor nighttime activity. Engaging in arguments or confrontations about these behaviors appears to increase susceptibility to lunar influence. Our teams are working around the clock to understand this phenomenon. What I can tell you is that we're dealing with something unprecedented in our astronomical records. The electromagnetic readings we're detecting don't match any known celestial mechanics, and the behavioral patterns we're documenting suggest some form of interaction between the lunar surface and human consciousness. International space agencies are coordinating monitoring efforts, but communication with our lunar observation satellites has become intermittent. Some of our most sensitive equipment is reporting readings that frankly don't make scientific sense. Yesterday afternoon, 3 separate deep space radar installations detected what appeared to be lunar surface movement, shifts in topology that would require geological forces far beyond anything the moon should be capable of generating. We're also tracking increasing reports of what witnesses describe as lunar static, a subtle interference affecting radio, television, and cellular communications, particularly during peak nighttime hours. This interference creates patterns that some of our audio technicians describe as almost rhythmic or like a very slow heartbeat. I want to emphasize that this is likely electromagnetic overflow from whatever process is occurring on the lunar surface. The situation is evolving rapidly. Every hour brings new reports, new data points that expand our understanding of this phenomenon while simultaneously raising more questions. What started as unusual instrumentation readings has developed into something that appears to be directly affecting human behavior and perception. We're coordinating with health departments nationwide to establish monitoring protocols for lunar-influenced behavior patterns. Mental health professionals are being briefed on the documented stages of lunar interaction, and emergency services have been provided with specific response guidelines for lunar-related incidents. I need you to understand that while we're taking every possible precaution, this situation extends beyond normal emergency parameters. We're not dealing with a weather event, a technological failure, or even a traditional public health crisis. The data suggests we're observing some form of directed influence originating from Earth's natural satellite. Stay indoors after sunset until further notice. Monitor family members for signs of unusual nighttime behavior. Avoid direct lunar observation and report any instances of prolonged sky gazing or claims of lunar communication to local authorities immediately. We will continue broadcasting updates every 6 hours on this frequency. Emergency services remain fully operational, though response times may be extended due to increased call volumes related to lunar incidents. Remember, this is a precautionary advisory. We're implementing these measures to ensure public safety while our scientific teams work to understand and address this unprecedented situation. Your cooperation is essential. Wait, I'm receiving an updated report from our Lunar Observation Post 7. They're confirming visual anomalies consistent with civilian reports of secondary lunar objects. This shouldn't be possible. We'll have more information in our next scheduled broadcast at 6 a.m. Mountain Time. Until then, follow the safety protocols I've outlined. Keep your families indoors after dark, avoid direct moon observation, and remember, we're working to understand this situation as quickly as possible. This has been Emergency Broadcast Protocol LCP-001. Dr. Brock Colby, NORAD Emergency Coordination Center. We'll be back with updated information at 0600 hours. Stay safe, and try not to look up tonight.